nightmare retirement consultation.
Yeah, no pain, no gain, right? No risk, no reward, right? We're going all risk, see? We're going to put everything you got in the market. You're going to love it.
Don't walk, run from that office and go to your future retirement partner with your best interest in mind. With a retirement plan that includes growth, protection, and income. So you can sleep well at night. Call Brian Gaiser of Gaiser Financial, 888-285-0829, 888-285-0829.
Brian Gaiser is an investment advisor representative of Advisory Alpha LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. All opinions expressed by Brian Gaiser are solely his own opinions and do not reflect the opinions of Advisory Alpha. This recording is for informational purposes only and should not be relied upon for investment decisions. Investment advisory and financial planning services offered through Advisory Alpha LLC, a registered investment advisor. Insurance, coaching, and education services offered through Gaiser Financial Group. Gaiser Financial Group is a separate and unaffiliated entity from Advisory Alpha LLC. While tax and legal issues may be discussed in the general course of financial and investment planning, Advisory Alpha does not provide tax or legal services. Please consult with your tax or legal professional prior to making decisions relative to these issues.
Creating an estate plan is essential. We'll cover that along with the world's worst retirement planning advice so you can't avoid it.
Achieving wealth in your retirement.
Get on the right road in the beginning now so that you don't make big mistakes down the road in retirement.
A better life in your retirement.
My parents made some costly mistakes, and I am passionate about helping people avoid those same mistakes.
Brian Gaiser can help you get there.
I want to be your accountability partner in retirement.
It's Wealth Through Wisdom Radio with your host, Brian Gaiser.
Wealth Through Wisdom with Brian Gaiser back on the air. I'm Chuck Caton along with Greensboro's own, the creator of the P4 retirement process. He's Brian Gaiser, where you can retire with confidence by being proactive, planning, pursuing, and prospering. And you can always watch Brian once again at 6 o'clock on Sunday nights on ABC 45 on Wealth Through Wisdom television. That's what it's all about here. And as Brian said before the break, while an estate plan can't prevent death or illness, it can protect your family from stress and grief and emotional fallout. So let's break it all down right now, Brian, because there's a lot of things that we need to talk about posthumously. Let's put it that way. When you're not around or I'm not around anymore, we want to make sure our loved ones are taken care of because that's what it's all about. That's why we build our wealth, or at least one of the reasons we do. So an estate plan really covers the decision in life and death. And unfortunately, a lot of people in life don't think about death and they don't plan ahead. And it, I believe, creates a lot of complications.
Yeah, I think one of the big things where people start when it comes to your estate plan, I just want you to do this first instead of saying, oh, what document do I do first? What documents do I put together as we go into that in just a minute? Is think about this. Think about if you're not here and you had no planning whatsoever, what would happen? Just start going through that thought process and realize how damning that would be to your family. I think that's the first place it's got to start. It's got to strike a strong emotion because it's a bit of an overwhelming point when it comes to putting together all these documents. What am I going to give Jenny? What am I going to give Barry? What am I going to give Mikey? What am I going to give my wife? Whatever it may be. And we start getting like that, we overwhelm ourselves and do nothing. So please think strongly. If something happened to you today, what would happen to your family? So your estate plan clarifies how your property is handled, folks, how your property is handled after you pass away. It specifies who receives what and when, including any charitable contributions. So that's one thing you need to think about. In addition to that, it designates an executor. Who do you want to be in control? Who do you want managing your debts, distributing your remaining assets, being in control, making sure things are balanced and fair? Who would be the right person? In the case of serious illness now, where you can't decide, the plan allows you to appoint someone you trust to make medical decisions on your behalf, all your financial also, covering your preferences such as organ donation or refusing treatment when there's no chance of recovery. So these types of things, I want you to imagine what I just talked about right there and not have anything, how incredibly burdensome it would be. And if you're alive on that last one where the courts have got to decide who's going to make medical decisions for you, I think you'll see that go ahead, get out in front of this, take care of it. You don't want to think about it every day. Keep it as simple as possible and go from there.
Of course, the details of an estate plan is your will and testament.
Yeah, will and testament is a roadmap for the courts. That's really what it is. The courts still are involved in it. Got about a third of them that can be contested. But it specifies where your property goes, who handles what at death, outlines beneficiaries and distribution of assets. But I'm telling you right now, a friend of mine, if you don't have one, his uncle, pretty simple estate, little small 10-acre farm house, it's just him. And he had a few annuities, a few other accounts, and it's still in probate because he had some assets up on that farm, just general assets like tractors and things of that nature. It's hung up in the courts. It's been a year and a half. A simple will could have shortened that to probably 6, 7, 8 months. Absolutely true.
All right, let's go about powers of attorney now. Let's start with the financial one.
You know, financial is pretty simple. Power of attorney, what we're talking about here, is you designate someone to manage your financial accounts. The same person that makes decisions on your health care might not be the right person for financial, but financial account will help you handle bills in case you're incapacitated. Because see, if you're not dead, the will doesn't mean anything. This power of attorney allows that to take care of those kind of things. Take care of your financials, make good, strong financial decisions on your behalf.
Well, let me pinch myself and see if I'm still alive, I suppose you'd say.
I know, I feel like I'm killing you this morning.
All right, we talked about financial power of attorney. What about the healthcare power of attorney? How important is that? And what about healthcare directives? Again, what are those?
I know we've touched on it, but healthcare directive, healthcare power of attorney, well, names an individual to make healthcare decisions for you, just like it says. It's a healthcare power of attorney. Provides a trusted person the authority to make medical choices when you are unable to do so. Think about this. You're on life support. There's no hope of coming back. Do you want to be let go or not? Well, if you have that one sister in your family, that would keep you alive as long as possible because there's a 0.1% chance there's a miracle will happen. You probably don't want that person as your healthcare power of attorney. Healthcare directives allows you to articulate specific preferences for medical treatment in various situations, maybe religious, what have you, but it also provides clear guidance on your health choices. Let me go if there's no hope.
Absolutely. Life support as defined by the 49ers in the last 90 seconds of last week's Super Bowl once Patrick Mahomes got the football.
You know, yeah, you would think they would have thought a little bit long and hard about that. That one extra point made all the difference, didn't it?
Absolutely did.
One extra point made all the difference.
Yeah.
They would have ran a different game coming out.
We're disowning Moody, though, because as a Michigan man, he didn't go there.
Yep.
Don't believe what you hear.
there you go. That's a good point.
You don't have a plan. If you don't have a plan, the government's going to decide. You just said this. You talked about probate.
Die and testate.
Yeah.
It's called dying and testate. And testate means the state's going to write your will and decide who gets your assets. It's usually your spouse and children and whatnot, but I'm telling you, it's like driving towards California to get to New York from North Carolina. Folks, get a will.
All right. Let's talk about how important beneficiary designations are because they have some legal implications, don't they?
Yeah, you know, retirement accounts like IRAs, your pensions, 401ks, 403bs, it does not follow the rules of testate. It does not follow the rules of a will. Your will is overrode by the beneficiary designations inside of those accounts. So my beneficiary obviously is my spouse, then my children. Well, the bottom line is if I didn't put that in there, it becomes my estate. One, that could create a huge taxable event. In addition to that, too, there was a teacher out of New Jersey that met her husband maybe 4 or 5 years after she became a school teacher up there. She worked 35 years. She had amassed $1 million in her account, her retirement account. Woohoo! And they were married for 20-some years. She passed away just before she retired. She still had her sister, her dad, and her mom. Her dad and mom were deceased. She only had one sister. The sister got the whole $1 million. That supersedes wills. A lot of people think their will will distribute their assets from their IRAs and other retirement accounts. It does not, and you better be careful.
Well, that's why I say to my wife and my 3 kids, you better not pout. I'm telling you why, because Santa Claus will change your beneficiary designations. All right?
Yeah, Santa Claus will skip your town.
Trust funds. We talk about trust fund babies. What about them providing control after death?
You know, trust funds are great. Trust funds are controls during life as well as after death. you have handicapped children, what have you, it's a great way to preserve those assets, not interfere with their benefits. There's an excellent attorney in town, Susan Hunt, that does a really good job with this kind of thing, plus regular wills and whatnot as well. But unique situations, you better consider a trust, especially blended families and whatnot, because that can really create a lot of problems. And that's a big part of the problem I was talking about earlier with that friend of mine a year and a half in.
Yeah, you talked about taxes, too, and estate planning saves those taxes on your heirs, too, but how so?
You know what? Unless your estate's over $13.6 million, it pretty much isn't going to, you're not going to have an inheritance tax. You're going to have income tax potential on your retirement account, so get that stuff lined up properly.
Remember Leona Helmsley? What did she do? Give money to her cat?
Let me try to forget. No, yes, I do.
Remembering your pet and online accounts. Does that mean you're going to have to give something to that cat or dog or that raccoon you might have been keeping in your basement? I can understand the online accounts, but you got to remember those too, because you got to make people aware of those before you pass.
So you know about my rat and raccoon. Okay, what's going on here? Hey, did I leave my computer on one day and the camera on? Hey, in all truthfulness, there was a butler out of California, and this lady worth about $28 million. And her best friend was that butler, just in a very friendly business manner, and was there for her from just a good-hearted soul. She had 2 Yorkies, and the money was all left to the Yorkies. And he said when they passed, the money became his, but he was to take care of them. He just killed them. And that's a true story. I promise you that's a true story. He just killed them, paid the fine, and off he went with his money. And which is horrible, but it's just a fact. Folks, it's hard work to be a good person. That guy obviously didn't put in the work towards the end. The greed got a hold of him. Hopefully karma got a hold of him as well.
That's crazy. Well, as we wrap it up, I know that you need to, ladies and gentlemen, get with a retirement planner for your retirement like Brian Gaiser and review that plan every year or two.
Yeah, review your estate plan, review your retirement plan, make sure it all jives, make sure that it's the right thing that you're still doing. And like Chuck said, sometimes you might not be coming to town if you don't keep your act straight on the beneficiary side, reviewing your beneficiaries. All those things are important. Building a good plan helps you stay on course. It's all about staying on course. And if you don't do it, folks, there'll be a lot of heartache. I can just promise that. So if you have at least $300,000 saved for retirement, we'll put together a tax analysis. Let's make sure you're not paying a lot of unnecessary taxes. Let's reduce that bill possibly. Customize your income plan. Number one thing you ought to do in retirement is make sure your income stream is more than what you need. And in addition to having abundance, make sure that that check's going to come no matter what happens on a regular basis, then invest the rest. That's really kind of the simple form of it. Let's look at your Social Security. Let's look when's the best time to take your pension and your Social Security. Folks, what I'm talking about is a true retirement plan put together by experts. No cost, no obligation. You don't even have to become a client. Give us a call. Don't put it off any longer. Let us have a little of your time, and I promise you we won't waste it.
All right, and the best way to do it here is not to use procrastination as one of the P's in the P4 retirement process of Brian Gaiser, but make the phone call at 888-959-1641. That's 888-959-1641. And you'll be happy that you did. He's got people standing by to take your information. He'll get back to you to make that appointment. And remember that no cost, no obligation appointment is yours at 888-959-1641. That's 888-959-1641. All right, what's going to happen in the next segment here before we break?
Well, in our second segment, we often discuss things you should be doing on your journey to retirement. This time we're covering the worst retirement advice you could follow and offering solutions to help you yourself avoid it. Be back in a moment.
How's the market doing?
It's fine.
How's the market doing now?
The same as it was 5 seconds ago.
Stop worrying about market volatility. A good retirement plan will keep you from panicking. Get that solid retirement plan with lifetime income and protection from retirement pitfalls. Call Brian Gaiser of Gaiser Financial, 888-285-0829, 888-285-0829.
Wealth Through Wisdom with Brian Gaiser continues. Chuck Caton here with the man who's got the heart of a teacher. He's Greensboro's own, and he's the creator of that P4 retirement process that's your financial compass. 888-959-1641 is the number. Don't forget to be proactive, to plan, to pursue, and prosper with the help of Brian Gaiser here in the Triad and beyond. Wealth Through Wisdom television can be seen Sunday evenings, too. We tell you about that, 6 o'clock, ABC 45, and you'll see the smiling face Brian Gaiser when you do. All right, let's take a look at the easy way to find conflicting insight and information about retirement planning. It's all over the place. You can either watch television and get the good scoops or the bad scoops. We're going to cover some of the worst pieces of retirement planning advice on the planet here with Brian Gaiser. And, what do we got? 6, 7 total questions. We're going to break it up into a couple of segments here, Brian. And the first bit of planning advice that could be questionable is it's impossible to predict where taxes will be at retirement, so don't worry about it. Well, that's probably the worst thing you could tell anybody, right?
That's like, hey, you can build a house without a blueprint. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, just go to construction school.
You need a foundation and some walls.
Right.
And in reality, that's really what it is. It's almost like doing something that crazy. It's almost like just mindlessly building a home. And who's really going to do that? Who's going to take that kind of risk unless you're really, really good? Maybe some of these folks off of TV will Build My House or whatever they're called. But it is impossible to predict exactly where taxes will be, except on your money. You will have most likely your assets will probably be subject to tax, but figuring out where your threshold is relative to your Social Security, relative to your IRAs, all of these kind of variables is going to be really, really critical. And what I mean by that is I've got a client right now. He and his wife have about $64,000 in Social Security. They draw about $21,000 out of their IRA, but they also built up a Roth IRA chuck of about $400,000. And if they just had a 5% return on that $400,000 and took that interest, that's $20,000. That'd be $104,000 net a year and no taxes on all that money. So, folks, it's just being smart. It's understanding where you are and what you have, and applying good common sense and good strategy to what it is so that you draw money from where it's going to be most tax favorable for you. So if it is different when you get there, you just make the changes as necessary. You change things a little bit. Maybe you do a little more Roth, whatever it may be. Maybe you pay just a little more in taxes, but I'd rather pay a little more than a lot more. And if you don't do anything, you can bet your bottom dollar you're going to pay a whole lot more. So if you want to utilize the most efficient tax strategies and the most efficient tax assets, what you got to do is handling your savings and retirement accounts and knowing where to draw from is probably the most misunderstood. The best way to do that is plan exactly which assets are you going to draw off of, plan what assets to build throughout retirement, what assets should be tax deferred if you can put them in a tax deferred situation and control the tax. So what should you do? Contributions to retirement accounts may reduce your taxable income right now, but if you go ahead and pay taxes on the seed and put them into something like a Roth, you could really save a lot more money down the road.
Absolutely true. Certainly, we're doing that. I've got one more year to convert IRA money for my wife's account to Roth, and biting the bullet as we do, as it's coming up on tax time, so we'll see what the ramifications are there. We're talking to Brian Gaiser about some of the information that could be wrong, but planning advice number 2 that isn't so good is you won't be spending as much in retirement as you do now.
Well, you just don't know what you're going to be spending in retirement. You don't know how sick you may be, potentially, or, you've got to really think about this. Living costs, health care, inflation. Let's say that you thought your expenses were going to be $4,000 3 years ago, and they might have been. Well, today they're about $4,800 because things are up 20% minimum. It's probably more than that, especially when you take in consideration what you buy: energy, food, transportation. All of the kind of things that you really need are through the roof. Folks, don't ever think that your living costs are going to be what you're spending just as you retire. It could really bite you. And I mean that from the deepest part of my soul. It's really, really bad advice. Folks are living longer. Think about that. If you live 30 years in retirement, how much imagine 30 years ago what 4,000 bought you. Imagine what 4,000 buys you today. What's the difference? There's a tremendous difference, right? You're going to have a little COLA in your Social Security, but thinking that spending what you spent in retirement is going to be huge. Big problem, especially when you can't earn anymore. Think about what I'm saying there. If you can't earn anymore, or if you're just can't earn at the level you used to earn, think about how much trouble it'll be if you don't have that excess in retirement. That's why I talk about this week in and week out. The key to a successful retirement is surplus income in retirement.
Absolutely true. So what can you do about that idea, and how do you plan for that idea that you're going to spend as much, if not more, enjoying your retirement than you do right now while you're working?
There's something called a budget. Budget every penny. Key ingredient for a good retirement plan is a budget or spending plan. You know, we're getting fancy with words. Spending plan just feels better to spend, but truly, what are you spending each month? And don't go past that. You know, if you have to use the Dave Ramsey envelope system, do it. But this component of a comprehensive plan is going to be the essential to the success of your retirement, folks. You got to test drive your retirement roadmap. You got to see, hey, will this fit? Will I have the things I want in retirement? Will I be comfortable? Will I be able to, as Chuck says, swan at night, sleep well at night?
Yeah.
And it is true, man. Chuck probably structured himself in a way, I'm going to guess, that he has more money coming in than Chuck needs. And that's really the name of the game. That's the name of the game.
You're right about that. And I've got a conservative partner, which also helps. My spouse is very good.
With a big stick. And so
That's right. So she keeps me in line in case I want to overspend. Anyway.
She keeps Chuck in check.
You got that. You got that right.
No doubt. I got one too. But the truth is, and when it really boils down to, guys, what good business could run itself without a good budget? There isn't a business out there. I mean, they would all fail if they didn't have a budget that is not outpacing the income streams that come from whatever it is that they do to generate income. And that you're the same person. You're the CEO of your own retirement. It's up to you to get it right. And if you have to work a few extra years and not retire when you think so, do it. Or if you have to work the first 5 years part-time in retirement, so what? Do it so that you can delay Social Security. I have a client right now that's what she's going to do. Her father, unfortunately, passed away. She has she has around $40,000 a year she could take over the next 4 years out of an account, which is an inherited IRA, and she's able to take that 40 out for the next 4 years. Well, she's just about to turn 66. Now she can go to 70. She's going to use as a replacement for her Social Security her father's funds, because you got to draw them out anyways. She's going to be spending money from somewhere anyways of the same amount. So she's going to draw it out of that over the next 4 years. We've structured it in a way where it's pretty reasonably tax efficient. And then when she turns 70, she'll just have about $800 more a month coming in from her Social Security. So it's going to give her an opportunity to delay, because you can't do Roth conversions and things of that nature with those funds. So you've really got to think it through, Chuck. You got to think it through from a standpoint that, hey, if I'm going to retire and retire comfortably, I've got to be smart and run my retirement like a business. You got to be your own CEO. Best thing in the world to do is build an incredible plan that thinks of all the parts.
Yeah, 30 seconds on why Social Security benefits are not enough to live on in retirement, because you're getting bad advice if you think it does.
They aren't? I'm just kidding. Social Security benefits are very tax favorable. That's nice. But in most cases, Social Security benefits, most people cannot live on them, right? There are those few exceptions, but you should plan as if you can't. And then if you can, that's a great thing. That means you're saving more. You're not interrupting your other assets. But it really boils down to the reason it's bad advice. It's meant to be a supplement, folks. It's not meant to be a replacement. We live much longer than when it was first created. We were living to about age 60. That number's changed greatly. It's 83 to 85 now. So you've got to really put together a plan that's built for growing your assets while in retirement.
That's why you can help people with what you can do for them as a fiduciary.
Yeah, absolutely. Folks, it just boils down to building the right plans, the right blueprint that builds the proper retirement house for you, if you will. And you take in consideration Social Security, pension, tax analysis, pay the least amount of taxes. That'll stretch out your money. It's all really, a plan is all about stretching your money and living the lifestyle you want. If you have at least $300,000 saved for retirement and you want to get rid of that mystery, you want to push aside mystery, you want to know, hey, I have more income coming in than I need during retirement. Imagine how good that would feel. I want you to think about that. I have $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 more a month coming in than I need. I'm allowing it to reinvest. Things of that nature is what will get you through retirement. Investment team. We have an investment team with CPAs, our CFAs. We put this together. It's not just myself. I put together a plan, then I have them scrutinize it, and then we go back to the drawing board and make sure that we got it right for you. No cost, no obligation. You don't even have to become a client. Take advantage of it. Get on the right path now. Don't wait. Don't let something crazy happen to you. Chuck will tell you how.
Call 888-959-1641. That's 888-959-1641, because it all starts with a core plan, leads to a comprehensive one. And the goal on this program, Wealth Through Wisdom with Brian Gaiser, is to show you how to make your best decisions in retirement. So if you've got any questions about what we're talking about here today and how it might apply to your situation, why, give us a call at 888-959-1641. And remember that Brian has people standing by to take your information so that he can call you back to make that no-cost, no-obligation appointment for you. Once again, it's 888-959-1641. We're going to finish the list out in the next segment right after the break.
Yeah, Chuck, if that list isn't finished, the worst pieces of retirement planning advice coming at you next. Stay tuned.
At Gaiser Financial, we believe in better. A better way to invest, a better way to serve you, and a better result. Our P4 process begins with us listening. Take advantage of our complimentary retirement strategy session by calling Brian Gaiser, host of Better Living and president of Gaiser Financial, at 888-285-0829. That's 888-285-0829.
It's your go-go years, so let's get going with another retirement road trip.
We're going to go, and we're going to go big. If you want the most restaurants and bars, pools and spas, if you want a water park and an ice rink, then size does matter.
Oh.
Let's go with the biggest in the world. We're cruising on Royal Caribbean Symphony of the Seas, the world's largest cruise ship. This 228,000-ton behemoth is a city in and of itself with 7 distinct neighborhoods. One is Central Park with over 20,000 plants, and lots of the interior staterooms overlook the park. So there are interior rooms where you can't say cruises go to die. No matter your taste, you'll find what you want in dining with 22 restaurants. It'll take you all night to bar hop. The Symphony has 42 bars and lounges. You'll have 24 pools to choose from, plus water view hot tubs, surf simulators, and water slides. Why would you need to leave the ship? You can go ice skating, zip lining. You can even have a robot serve you a drink at the Bionic Bar. Maximum capacity 6,870 guests, but former passengers have said it doesn't seem crowded. That's because, in the words of Tiny Elvis, the thing's huge. And she's waiting for you in your maiden retirement voyage. So don't wait. Get your retirement plan together and sail off into the sunset.
Wealth Through Wisdom with Brian Gaiser continuing. I'm Chuck Caton with Greensboro's own Mr. Brian Gaiser with the heart of a teacher. And again, that P4 retirement process is very simple. You need to be proactive. You need to plan. You need to pursue and then prosper with the creator of that P4 retirement process, the help of fiduciary Brian Gaiser. This program is Wealth Through Wisdom with Brian Gaiser. Chuck Caton here with you, and we're going to continue on with our list of what advice not to take in retirement. And number 4 on that list is very simple. If you encounter an emergency, why, all you've got to do is borrow from your retirement accounts. I don't know.
Absolutely.
Right. So now, Brian, why is that bad advice?
Well, I mean, think about it. You're borrowing from your retirement accounts. What if you're borrowing from an IRA? Well, you can't borrow from an IRA. You got to withdraw from an IRA. What if you're not 59 and a half? Well, if you withdraw from that IRA for that emergency, unless it counts up under the IRS guidelines, which few things do, then you're going to have to pay taxes on that money plus a penalty. If you're not, you're still going to have to pay taxes on that money. So there's a lot of reasons not to borrow from a retirement account. The biggest thing you can do is build yourself a rainy day bucket. Remember, you invest for income, growth, and protection. Income first, growth second. That protection includes a rainy day bucket because you will have days that are rainy, like this past week almost, but all week. But that being said, this is not the intention of a retirement savings account. It is built for income and growth. This is confusing as an emergency fund for your retirement nest egg, and it is incredibly bad advice. Once you make this choice, and I want you to think about this, depending on your age, you can't put the genie back in the bottle once again. And I hope you understand what I just talked about. Tapping retirement savings prior to your retirement is obviously going to be a detriment later on in your life. I mean, it's going to reduce down what you have to withdraw in the future, especially if you hit it hard. Well, I just want this one car. I haven't ever had a new car. I've heard that before, Chuck. Can you believe that? So what should you do? Don't deny your future. Very, very simple. These benefits that come with compounded interest. Don't put yourself in a position where your back is against the wall and you are penalized for it. Build an emergency fund. Make sure you have somewhere to take money from, folks. That emergency fund is critical. It's part of your protection, just like long-term care and life insurance and health insurance. Those four right there, you better have a plan for each one of them. That's what we do week in and week out when we meet with folks from the television show, from the radio shows.
Absolutely true. Now, we're talking Wealth Through Wisdom with Brian Gaiser and what not to do, finishing our list of some of the worst pieces of retirement planning advice that you can get. And I guess, I don't know why this is the magic figure, but a lot of people think you need $1 million to retire comfortably. So that's bad advice?
Why is it bad? $1 million to retire, the adage, just think about it. Really the number one thing you want to think about in retirement. Do I have strong surplus income? Is that income increasing regularly, whether it's annually, biannually, what have you? Well, it's one that when you're thinking about $1 million to retire, you got to think about this adage. You need to consider how much money you'll need and how much money you will spend in retirement. This number is going to vary from one person to the next and year to the next. You've got to review this. So depending on retirement goals, circumstances, retirement age, savings thus far, depending on where you live, do you want to live on the oceanfront at the beach, $1 million, and it's going to be anything. So what should you do? It's important to have a robust savings plan for comfortable, financially secure retirement. Try to have as little debt as possible, too. That helps avoid one just previous question when talking about emergency fund. If you don't have any debt, it's much easier to build up a rainy day fund. But try to have an emergency fund built up strongly, but know how much income you'll need in retirement. Build it, and if you think it's $5,000, you should have $7,000, $8,000, because you better be reinvesting in yourself. And I mean physically reinvesting in yourself as well. It's something about going through the process of physically transferring money over into an investment account or even your own personal brokerage investment account, not necessarily an IRA. There's just something about participating in that a little bit will help you go, man, I want to do that again next year. I don't want to do that again next year. That's really the key to keeping yourself above it. But $1 million, it may or may not suffice you. Just all depends on who you are and how much do you need in retirement.
Taking a look with Brian Gaiser here on Wealth Through Wisdom with Brian Gaiser on bad advice, advice you should not heed. And one of the other things is a statistical axiom or bromide that maybe a lot of people were using in the retirement planning business years ago, and that is using the 60-40 stock-to-bond ratio, that blueprint, and then you don't need to worry about asset allocation at all. Why is that bad advice, Brian?
It's really relative. I mean, it might even be good advice, but if you're part of the 20%, it still fits relative to your income, relative to your other income streams, such as pensions, maybe your own rental property, what have you. And a 60-40 might work because you can wait out the bumps. But today they were talking about if you're in a 60-40, you should be able to outlast your money over a 20-year period. What if you live 30 years? So, getting yourself positioned with income you cannot outlive is really the key, right? You want to bounce your last check. Hey, you can do that by doing that as well. But more importantly, Knowing you have surplus each month and you're reinvesting in yourself is really the key. 60-40 rule was designed with the intention of allowing folks to benefit from growth via stocks and curb the risk by adding stability and income in bonds back when bonds were paying something. Now they're paying something again reasonably, but this is only short-term bonds, so we're having a problem with the longer-term bonds with this inverse curve right now. Not to digress, but we've got a problem there, folks. The inversely proportionate relationship between stocks and bonds offered protection for portfolios, assuming you were working with a flourishing economy. Right now, economy's running off of printed money, so you got to be careful. This is one of those economies that's going to pull back at some point. When, I don't know. Remember, only 4, 5, 6 stocks are carrying the S&P right now. When one of them kind of faltered, the rest are going to start to falter very rapidly behind it, so you got to be careful. And it tested us a bit in 22. So, of course, high interest rates coupled with increased volatility exposed a crack in the foundation. Inflation. God, look at inflation. No inflation there, is it, Chuck? But market dips and high interest rates, things of that nature. High interest rates are good if you owe nothing. If you owe something, high interest rates aren't that great. But then again, it still runs up inflation. There's a balance between inflation, high interest rates, and somehow or another our government cannot figure out whatsoever, right? Mr. Powell himself cannot, the Federal Reserve is what I'm talking about, can't figure out how to balance those things. But to his defense, he's inherited a mess, but not to his defense, he's created a bigger mess by not saying, hey, Joe, don't print a ton of money. And they've printed a ton of money.
Yeah, absolutely true. All right, final thing on the list here of bad advice for retirees is the notion of one size fits all. And that's the plan for retirement that can work well. Why is that bad?
Yeah, and there's no wisdom in that. One size fits all. Oh, my gosh, what if there was only one shoe size and it was Shaquille O'Neal's? We would all be up creek, right? I mean, what's he, a size 22 shoe? Can you imagine trying to walk around in those today? But one size fits all is just not true. It's just that simple. We all don't do the same thing. We all don't like the same thing. It's just not a bit of common sense even with such a thing. But why it's bad advice, the one size fits all plan doesn't work well. Following a boilerplate plan and trying to make the plan fit you, that's like trying to put a square peg in a round hole. Think about it. Once again, Shaquille O'Neal's shoe. Try to wear those for a couple of days and see if you haven't got a few bumps and bruises on yourself. Rather, you want to ensure that you're accounting for the circumstances, situation, goals, your particular situation. So what should you do? Comprehensive, holistic, customized plan. I'm going to repeat that. Think about what I'm saying, folks, and get it done. Comprehensive, holistic, customized plan is essential to your financial future and quality of your retirement. I want you to take one of your wheels off your car today and try to ride around town with it. I mean, it really is like that comprehensive, holistic, it all works together just like all the different parts on your car. We'll put together a financial plan, no cost, no obligation. You don't even have to become a client to take advantage of this. We're going to put together an income generation plan with surplus. We're going to explore the protection against catastrophic illness and things of that nature. We're going to put together a spending plan so that you know how much you're spending and you know you have more coming in than you spend. I'm telling you, folks, that's the swan. That's the sleep well at night right there medicine. I got 2 or 3 more thousand I could draw off my accounts. I don't because I allow it to reinvest in me. Growth plan, folks. Think about that. A growth plan that will grow for you. You participating in that plan. We'll put together the blueprint and help you build the house. Help you rebuild that retirement house. Just isn't going to happen. You got to step up the plate to make it happen. Chuck will tell you how.
And it's easy to do that, ladies and gentlemen, because Mr. Gaiser has people standing by to take your phone call at 888-959-1641. That's 888-959-1641, because there's no cost or no obligation. You get a better handle on your financial situation. It's all about the core plan that leads to a comprehensive one. And so to find out what your investments are really costing you because of high fees or commissions, that's something that can be meted out as well by Brian Gaiser. What are your future tax implications? Those are Very important ideas as well, because you're not in business with yourself. You're in business with Uncle Sam and Aunt Caroline as well. And then that other issue of how much income you can actually and securely generate. And once you do move into retirement, that is the key. So pick up the phone and call. No cost, no obligation. Please don't procrastinate. Give Brian Gaiser a call right now to make that no cost, no obligation appointment at 888-959-1641. That's 888-959-1641, and you'll be happy that you did. Fast-moving show, Brian. I know what's coming up next.
Yep, final segment here, segment 4 coming up, and we'll return and jump right into your questions, so stay tuned. Be right back.
Many of us look forward to the day we retire. We look forward to having more time to spend with our families, enjoying every day, and maybe even taking that dream vacation out on the open road. Don't let the fear of uncertainty turn your retirement dream into a retirement nightmare. We can help you see how much risk you're taking, potential red flags that could cause problems for you down the road, such as tax liability, as well as a big one, how much you're paying in fees or commissions with your current plan or advisor. Call for a consultation, 888-285-0829, 888-285-0829. Brian Gaiser of Gaiser Financial will take the time to get to know you, your retirement goals, get to know your unique financial situation, and building an income and protection and proper growth in your retirement plan, utilizing his P4 retirement process. 888-285-0829. Brian Gaiser, 888-285-0829.
Here's our look at women of accomplishment, women who have soared to new heights and shattered the glass ceiling.
Growing up, Sally Ride was not only interested in science, she was also a nationally ranked tennis player. She earned a PhD in physics in 1978 while doing research on the interaction of X-rays with the interstellar medium. Ride was selected to be an astronaut as part of NASA Astronaut Group 8 in 1978, the first class to select women. She was one of 35 selected out of 8,000 applicants. In overcoming gender bias during a pre-space flight press conference, she was asked such ridiculous questions as, "Do you weep when things go wrong on the job?" and "Will the flight affect your reproductive organs?"
Liftoff of STS-7 and America's first woman astronaut.
Ride became the first American and the third woman in space aboard the Challenger in 1983. Many people attending the launch wore t-shirts that said, "Ride, Sally, Ride." She served on the committees that investigated the Challenger and Columbia Space Shuttle disasters, the only person to participate in both. Ride died of pancreatic cancer on July 23, 2012. Sally Ride, one of the many women to shatter the glass ceiling.
Well, Through Wisdom with Brian Gaiser, we'll conclude with our question and answer segment. I'm Chuck Caton, along with the creator of the P4 retirement process, which is your financial compass. Don't forget, be proactive, plan, pursue, and you will prosper in the realm of the P4 retirement process. That's the financial compass that Brian Gaiser puts together as a fiduciary, which means you come first in his book. 888-959-1641 is that number in case you missed it before. No cost, no obligation. Sit down, talk to him about your retirement, because it's going to go fast and you're going to want to retire comfortably and be happy in retirement and not have to worry yourself about money and lifestyle change. And that's something that we all want to prevent. All right, Brian, I know you're ready to answer some questions now, aren't you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
All right, so let's go to Randleman first, and Ed is there. And Ed says, I'm not far away from retirement, so how can I protect my 401k? Can I move it into some cash and still have an employer match while contributing some money to it as well? And would you advise me to do that?
You know, I'm a big fan, Ed, of you basically gaining more control of the choices that you have. I don't know what most 401ks are limited or mostly limited, one of the two. And what I mean by that is there's only so many choices. And so if I was you and you have the ability to do something and you want to write this down and you want to listen, And you want to ask, everyone listening right now, ask your employer, and some of you might already know the answer to this question. Do you have in-service transfer? Once again, do you have in-service transfer available to you at work? And what that means is, Ed, you're able to continue to work, continue to contribute to your portfolio, put it in maybe a stable fund if you want to be safe, and then transfer that whole 401k into whatever you want with more choices, a whole lot more choices. And I think that would resolve a lot of your problems. So should you? I would, if you're about to retire, just go ahead and get that off to the side. Go ahead and get that money working in the way you want it to from a retirement standpoint instead of a building standpoint. And then continue to contribute to that 401k inside of a stable fund. So if things shake up, you won't shake up that much.
All right, very good advice there for Ed. Thank you very much. And now let's go to Tim in Rural Hall, right up US 52.
Yep.
And he says, besides qualifications and fiduciary status, what else do you recommend that people look at for an advisor?
Well, make sure that they're holistic. That's really probably, just remember that word more so than anything. Fiduciary is important. That's usually goes synonymous with holistic. Holistic means they have some understanding of taxes, and we'll talk about some taxes and give you advice on what to ask your tax professional and where to draw your money from. Ask them point blank, where would you draw? If these are your accounts, I have a Roth, I have a 401k, an IRA, a brokerage account, whatever it may be, whatever your savings, your nest egg is, where would you draw from in retirement once I retire? Make sure you understand you have a retirement plan so that they understand retirement, that they specialize in retirement, not just building wealth. You don't want a big Walmart for your advisor. You want an advisor. It's more like a doctor. If I do cardiology, then you're going to come to me for your heart. If Chuck's a hand specialist, you're going to go to him over me if I'm a knee specialist because you broke your hand, just like I did a few weeks ago. But that being said, it's all about specialty. It's all about, do you specialize in retirement? Are you holistic? Do you take into consideration taxes, growth? Do you discuss other areas that could really take me down in retirement, such as long-term care? That's really going to be critical.
I wonder how you broke that hand. Did you slam it against the brick wall when you saw the Vikings didn't make the playoffs again in the NFL?
No, they had already lost by that point, but I slipped and fell in a creek, walking around a creek bed with my daughter in the local park over here in Starmount. And I face planted into the rocks. I really got lucky to just dislocate a couple of fingers and crack them. Yeah, I know that sounds crazy, but I was completely lucky.
Oh, all right. Well, that's good. Let's go to Kernersville.
Test the rock before you stand on it is what it boils down to. Test the advisor, test the rock. Don't just step on it. I stepped on it, and it just threw me in the water.
Oh, my goodness.
So I'm very lucky.
Yeah, that's not good.
Cold day, and people say, didn't you feel the cold? Not even a bit. Your adrenaline's running, so when you look down and your finger's pointing one way and you're actually pointing the other.
So you had a landslide accomplishment that day, unfortunately.
Absolutely.
All right, let's go to Kernersville. George is in Kernersville, and he said, I recently opened my first brokerage account, but I'm worried that I'm going to make some rookie mistakes. So, Brian, what are some of the more common mistakes that you've seen the investors make, and how can I avoid them?
You open your first brokerage account, go slow. That's first off. Just go ahead and understand there's some pain with learning, George. So you just step up to the plate and, make some wise decisions. Understand you will get bumped around. Biggest rookie mistake people see, that I see, is when they get beat up a little bit, they run and they pop out of the market, and things of that nature just tend to have more losses than wins. And I'm not saying just stay the course. Rebalancing is one thing. Getting out of the way, running to cash all the time, thinking you can time the market is probably the number one area where people go wrong. And I mean from advisors to everybody. Timing the market is really tough to do. If you're not way out ahead of it, you're already in the game, and it's better to maintain those assets at a little bit lower price, start looking for other assets when the market starts to turn around, because at some point it will, But the bottom line is you got to be really careful with trying to time the market. It's time in the market, not timing the market.
Gotcha. All right, final question comes from Brandy in Greensboro, who is 62 years of age, and she says, my retirement account is heavily invested in short-term investments. I plan to retire in 4 years, so is this an appropriate time to move some of it into stocks and bonds?
You know, at 62 years of age, I think you definitely need to look at that. You know, you're heavily invested in short-term investments. Is it? I think looking at it one way, another thing, you just need really more of a larger scale plan, most likely. I would, if you plan to retire in 4 years, you need a plan that takes you to that 4 years and through that 4 years. And a lot of people take that for granted and think, well, you know, if the market gets bumped up, I'll be okay. But you let a 25 or 30% drop hit you right as you retire. And let's see if you're not retiring. And the chances are you probably won't retire under that scenario. So if I was you looking into stocks and bonds right now, I would rather say, what are all the investments available to me and where should I allocate my money accordingly, more so than stocks and bonds. Stocks and bonds. Nothing wrong with stocks and bonds, appropriately used. But if you take a lawnmower and try to drive to the beach with it, that's not going to be the perfect vehicle to take you to the beach. It'll get you there eventually. But the bottom line is you're probably better off to jump in your car.
But the DOT would help, would love it too if you were cutting the grass all the way down there. Hey, it's been a great show so far, but I know you've got some philosophical thoughts here. Great questions this week, and now your thoughts on life in general and what you thought about Super Bowl 58.
Super Bowl 58 was predictably silly in a lot of ways. I guess it was a good game. I didn't watch like the last half, so I only heard about it the next morning. But that being said, I think it's a great tradition. I hope people can continue it even in spite of the silliness with the Taylor Swift and all the other things that go with it. And remember that it's a great tradition. Keep it going. Don't, regardless of some of the silliness. But that being said, I've been telling you about a book I'm reading, and it really just a lot of things. I just keep going back over some chapters, and it was Dan Sullivan, the founder of Strategic Coach, with Dr. Benjamin Hardy, wrote this, and he's a psychologist, and he really talked about some things that I think, and what I'm bringing up here is that that should be concerning you, especially for grandchildren, even your children in a lot of cases. My 31-year-old, for that matter, I've got to be careful with. My 10-year-old, I got to be careful with. And it's technology and the manipulation aspect of technology and how a lot of people are finding their worth through likes and through that kind of thing in the internet world, and how they're just getting sucked into, and their value system is being built by the internet world. And value systems are meant to be built and determined intrinsically, not extrinsically, right? In other words, we don't want the internet to determine our values. We want to compare ourselves against who we think we should be, not the internet. But a lot of kids, it's easy to get sucked into that. And I see this with a few of my daughter's friends that, you know, they're getting a little sucked in even at 10 years old to some of the most silliest concepts. And it's really concerning. And no one's going to ever hold big tech responsible. So if I was you, the reason I bring this up, and it's if you want true wisdom right now, make sure your grandkids measure themselves against a quality value system, because obviously that quality has really been sucked out. And it's more, well, you can choose rather the internet. No, in a lot of ways you can, but those algorithms are powerful. Kids are so easily influenced. So if there's something I just want to kind of ring a little alarm bell on, and a lot of you know this, but it's real. This doctor did a big research on it, Dr. Benjamin Hardy, and he just did a lot of work on it and research, and it's just really the masterful minds of the, you know, all the different major tech companies out there to persuade, from elections to whatever. They are really coming after your kids, and they really do want to draw your kid away from you being as much influence as possible, and they influence them. So wake up on that side. Wake up on the side of putting your own retirement plan together. If you take that worry off of you, you might be able to put more time into your grandchildren. We're willing to help you. No cost, no obligation. If you have at least $300,000 saved for retirement, we'll check off the boxes: income, protection, spending plan, growth plans. We'll put this together for you where you can understand it and build the retirement you want. Chuck, tell them how.
All right, it's easy. Just give us a phone call here with people standing by to take your information for Brian Gaiser. Here, it's Wealth Through Wisdom at 888-959-1641. 888-959-1641 is the number. No cost, no obligation. Sit down and talk about a core plan for retirement that leads to a comprehensive one for you with Brian Gaiser at the helm, helping you each and every step of the way with his P4 retirement process, which is your financial compass and will lead to success in retirement. 888-959-1641 is the number. And as we go away for another week, Brian, I know you've got some final thoughts.
Yes, folks, bottom line, genius is the ability to reduce the complicated to simple. Let's simplify your retirement. Have a great weekend.
Brian Gaiser is an investment advisor representative of Advisory Alpha LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. All opinions expressed by Brian Gaiser are solely his own opinions and do not reflect the opinions of Advisory Alpha. This recording is for informational purposes only and should not be relied upon for investment decisions. Investment advisory and financial planning services offered through Advisory Alpha LLC, a registered investment advisor. Insurance, coaching, and education services offered through Gaiser Financial Group. Gaiser Financial Group is a separate and unaffiliated entity from Advisory Alpha LLC. While tax and legal issues may be discussed in the general course of financial and investment planning, Advisory Alpha does not provide tax or legal services. Please consult with your tax or legal professional prior to making decisions relative to these issues. This radio show is not endorsed or approved by the Social Security Office or any other government agency. An annuity is a long-term financial product designed largely for asset accumulation and retirement needs. All guarantees are backed by the claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company.